replied. Trying to appease her, I added, "The construction team did a great job on the exterior of Prive. I think if you came over to see it, you'll like what's been done." Like it, she stuttered. She took a few more menacing steps toward us. She raised her hand as if to push me away. I held my ground. "Bethany, I swear I didn't know the farmhouse used to be your family's home." We were about the same height, 5'7", but I had 10 pounds on her. A moot point, judging by the expression on her face and the bulging vein at her temple. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I didn't think I was the one Bethany should be upset with. I was just the hired help, as Jackie, one of the partners at Prive, reminded me of on more than one occasion. Tears glistened in Bethany's usually smiling, vibrant eyes. Grandpère was born there. Then why had she sold it? I reached in my handbag, grabbed a package of tissues, and handed her one. Bethany took out a few and blew her nose. Bethany's customers, who were sitting on the patio under a white slated pergola, had all eyes trained on us. I'm sure, like myself, they'd never seen usually mellow Bethany in such a state. But I was innocent. All I'd known before this evening was that her Sagaponic vineyard and wine-tasting operation was across the pond from Prive. Now, glancing at Bethany's quivering chin and gritted teeth, I wished that Patrick and I had opted for a quiet night home. It was the Thursday before Labor Day weekend, and we'd planned on having a farewell and good riddance toast to summer, knowing that soon the seasonal Hamptons crowd would be heading due west. We were just days away from having the East End of Long Island all to ourselves. Hallelujah. And what a summer it had been. There'd been campfires and clam bakes on the beach, and gourmet meals at Patrick's kitchen counter, which he'd made in the workshop behind his oceanfront cottage. I wasn't allowed anywhere near his stove due to my lack of culinary skills and tendency to overcook. Okay, burn things. Then there was the simple bliss of twilight evenings when we'd sit side by side reading on his or my screened porch, both of us trying to convince the other of our favorite genre's merits. Even though Patrick wrote fiction, he enjoyed reading historical biographies. I read mostly fiction, preferring whodunit mysteries. But there was one thing we both loved to read: classical poetry. "Sorry, Bethany, I truly am," I repeated ad nauseum. "You must believe me. Prive will never compete with Garnier Vineyards. Everyone loves it here." It would be a lie if I'd said I would have given up the assignment knowing that Bethany was the former owner of the building that housed Prive. Former being the key word. The money I'd been paid to transform the interior of the renovated French farmhouse into an elite dining club was the most I'd made in a year since moving to Montauk, and close to the salary I received as editor-in-chief on American Home and Garden magazine before fleeing Manhattan and a cheating fiancé for the serenity only the salt life could offer. I admitted that the two-timing fiancé story was cliched, and my exodus on the wimpy side. But my move to the easternmost tip of Long Island turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, and Patrick was just the icing on the cake. Bethany looked from me to Patrick, her hands at her sides as she tried to hold down her gauzy boho kaftan from the stiff breeze blowing in from the ocean only a half-mile away. She and I weren't besties like my newly married bosom buddy Elle and I were. However, we'd always been friendly, chatting about things like local charity events, Bethany's wine recommendations, and Garnier Winery's delicious farm-to-table tapas plates that came with each wine-tasting experience. A sip and bite, and you were off to gastronomic heaven. She pointed the corkscrew in my direction. Her red wine-stained fingertips matched the color of her long, wild hair. "I suppose you and these partners, more like thieves, didn't know that next spring I have plans to open a full-service restaurant. It would be easy enough for anyone to look up the architect's plans that I filed at the courthouse. It's obvious one of those traitors must have the zoning commission in their pocket. How else can you explain the property going from residential to commercial in a blink of an eye? As I said, it's not really a restaurant, more of a gourmet club. If you want..."